Hey guys, this is Ryan from resume2offer.com. Hope everyone's doing well. Happy New Year. It is 2025. I got up at 5 a.m. this morning. So trying to start a trend. I already had 2 one-on-ones this morning and talking about that. Trying to get back in the groove of like, let's get fitness, let's get into meditation, let's start the day correctly. Reading a lot more, just trying to really start 2025 the right way. So today, we're going to be talking about how to get hired as an enterprise AE, okay? As an enterprise account executive, how do you do? If this is your first time to the channel, welcome. I've been an SDR, I've been an AE, I've also been mostly a recruiting professional, talent acquisition, I've been a head of talent. I've been a recruiter for the last 13 years. I've hired over 1,000 different people, especially in the tech space, in cybersecurity and sales, and in a whole host of different industries. So, and as of this recording, I've helped over 500 people actually get their jobs, get the jobs that they wanted, their dream jobs. I don't know about dream, but their target jobs, I should say. They're the next one that they wanted. So, today we're going to be talking about enterprise AE. It's kind of, obviously that big title that a lot of people in the tech sales and cybersecurity sales are trying to get to, okay? If you don't know what it is, definitely look it up. What's the big difference? SDR, BDR, you're usually doing kind of the cold calling, a lot of the grunt work. You're really trying to start building the pipeline. The AE, on the other hand, is the one that's closing the deals. They're building accounts, they're building relationships. Enterprise AE is kind of the next level. This is kind of where that salary that you hear on, big companies, especially on YouTube, and this is on there, between like, hey, I'm making 300K, I'm making 400K, I'm making 500K, I'm making $1 million a year. Can't guarantee that, but that's kind of what's known synonymous with kind of enterprise AE. It is really that big title, and if you get to that level, you kind of have a job, and you do well, you kind of have a job for life. So it's a really big, it's kind of a big crowning achievement in the tech sales world. So something to consider if you're really thinking of career. And we're going to be breaking down today some of the things as a hiring manager, as a recruiter that I look for, who I've hired in the past, people that I talk to in this industry, what do they have all common denominators? We're going to be talking about that. And I've broken it down. I have a few, notes to the side here to help me out. But we're going to talk about first on your resume, some of the things that you need to have there to help with the applicant tracking system. We're going to talk about your skill sets, skills that you should have. We're going to be talking about candidate persona. What are the common denominators that they look for in a lot of these interviews and in the panel interviews, which is very important. And then finally, some resources that I believe can help you get to the next level if you're looking for some like extra tips, techniques, added help, what can get you there. So we're going to talk about that, all right? If you need some extra help, if you don't know, check out in the description below. I have a few different links that can help you out if you need to kind of next steps in the process. So let's talk about the resume. So there's some few things on your resume that you need to have, okay? If you have not seen some of the videos I've made in the past on the applicant tracking system, if you don't know what that is, applicant tracking system, ATS for short, it's basically the tool that recruiters use to funnel all the different resumes. Right now, as this recording, if you're looking for a job, I would recommend looking into Greenhouse, okay? They should be paying me for this stuff. I think I've placed like 7 different people at Greenhouse in the last 2 months who've come for me for coaching. And they're hiring like crazy. Like they are in ATS software. So they do HR, compliance and ATS systems. What they do is they take all the resumes and they condense them. So 1,000 resumes come in for one job. They are able to look at all the different resumes, look at all the keywords that are in those resumes, like look at the probability score that this person is going to be successful in the role, and they give the recruiter the top 20, 50, 100 of those. So it saves them time, and it's a total automation system. That's what an ATS is. So your resume first has to have the right keywords, tools. There's a few other things in there too, but those are some of the big ones. So let's talk about that. What do you need to have on your resume to even be considered at this point? So number one, you need to have minimum 3 years, I should say, ideally 5 to 7 years total sales experience with at least 3 being in the tech sales world, okay? I would say that's kind of an ideal candidate. You need to have that. Ideally, it's in B2B, and you got to make sure that when you're putting this on your resume, you're using the right acronyms. The ATS actually looks in acronyms a lot of the time. So instead of putting business to business or just sales, make sure you have B2B. B2B business, full cycle sales, consultative selling are all good keywords to have on your resume. You want to make sure that also the sales cycle that you're used to dealing with is between 6 to 12 months, okay? It's more of a quarterly process or a yearly process or half a year process. It's not something where you're turning and burning every day, okay? So the sales cycle should be half a year, quarter, whole year. Deal size. Usually they're right now, because of competition, they're prioritizing, doesn't mean it's like you're out of the running, but they're prioritizing people who have dealt with big deals. I would say 50K or above, okay? So just be aware of that. That's something to kind of look into. The sales methodology. If you're looking at small and mid-sized companies, your ideal sales methodology, as I've talked about, Spin, BANT, there's a few other ones. In enterprise sales, they actually look at Challenger and Medic. MEDD, I think it's MEDDIC, or yeah, I think that's right. MEDDIC, but Medic sales methodology, that is the thing, and you want to make sure it's Medic on your resume. So do some research on that. There's tons of material and books out there. So make sure you're looking at that as well. For CRMs, so I've talked a lot about HubSpot. HubSpot's pretty easy. It's free. You can download it. If you're targeting, and when I say SMB, that means small to mid-sized business. That's what that acronym means. Enterprise is usually the companies that are 2,000 to 10,000 plus more people in the company. They're the big scale companies that are usually nationwide or international. That's kind of what that means. So just a differentiation. For CRMs though, HubSpot is good. Salesforce is way better. Salesforce is the one that's used by enterprise level, enterprise candidates, enterprise level sales associates, enterprise level sales executives. So you want to make sure that you have Salesforce on your resume, and make sure when you put Salesforce, you put Salesforce CRM. Okay, that's actually a big point. People just put Salesforce, you put Salesforce and then the CRM right behind it for that keyword. Okay, optimization. Other things that I've talked about and other ones, you definitely want to have LinkedIn Sales Navigator, keywords to put on your resume, ROI, SOP, OKR, it's a big one. Another one is RFP. RFP stands for Requests for Proposals. It's another word for contracts. You want to make sure you have RFP somewhere layered on your resume. Okay. The other thing is, for enterprise level, they are looking for the person who has the highest closing ratio or the best quota attainment. So when you're putting on your metrics, yes, you want to put, deal size, sales cycle, length of time you've been in sales, but also quota attainment. I would say that if you want to be in the running, you got to be crushing it, man. You got to be hitting at least 100%. Okay, ideally 100 to 130 plus. That's kind of the sweet spot where the people that are getting the jobs, that's kind of the winner's circle they're falling into. So that's some things that you want to make sure that your resume has those parameters just to be considered in the mix, okay? Because you're going up against people from other enterprise AEs, people that are AEs moving to enterprise AE, people from SDR moving to enterprise AE, people who are in sales for the last 10, 20 years and they're pivoting to tech sales. If you've been in sales for 20 years, that kind of still, and you've been in enterprise in other industries, you're still in the running for it. Okay, so there's just an FYI. All right, let's talk about skills. What skills do you need? So you have got to be a strong communicator, negotiator, persuader. Your public speaking and communication skills have got to be on point. I've talked about this in other videos. Strongly recommend if you do not feel that you have good communication skills, that is an area that's going to be your weakest link and you need to develop it. Some great books out there. Dale Carnegie, he's kind of the godfather of all this stuff. He talks about communication, public speaking things. I've mentioned Toastmasters. Toastmasters is a free group. They're usually in every major city. I used to do it 5 years ago. I did Toastmasters. I ranked number 2 in the region at the time. Not to showboat too much, but yeah, it was phenomenal experience, great networking. It's completely free, and it's something you can put on your resume as well. So Toastmasters, certain books, how to have power and confidence in dealing with people. I think it's by Les Giblin. Check out that book too. Really good to have, but you gotta have these communication skills. Okay, when you're doing your interviews, that's what they're looking for. You're able to sell them. They're not able to sell you. How is good is your communication and sales ability? Okay, consultative approach. Do you have a good consultative selling? It's a lot of rapport building, but more consultative selling. Okay, are you able to ask the right questions? Are these questions thought-provoking for the other person, right? Does it draw them out and have them start talking a lot more? Yes, you should be a good talker, but you gotta be a good listener and you gotta be able to ask the right questions, okay? Another thing they look for, right now we've lived in a remote world post-COVID. A lot of, I've been remote, for the last 5 years since COVID. I used to work, when I was working cybersecurity, head of talent, I was in the office. I was in the office in downtown San Diego, and then COVID hit and everything went remote. And then we were more profitable remote than we were in the office, so then they shut down the office. However, these days, enterprise AE, you're doing a little bit of both. Yes, you have a lot of online presence, but also you're going a lot of offline. They are flying you usually to meet with people in certain cities. You're going out to lunches and dinners. You're meeting with them in the conference rooms. It's the type of thing where like, hey, business is on the golf course, okay? You have to have very good communication and relationship skills in person. So something they look for, and part of the interview process they're going to be talking about is kind of both your online skills. Yes, you got to be able to do remote stuff because there's a lot of demonstrations that go in, but offline as well. Are you able to kind of be a good networker, be in person? You're able to like kind of work a group in a lot of ways. Very good. So something you should look into is social dynamics. Basically being kind of like, that person at the party that you're able to kind of like work the room and work, a whole group, able to keep attention and keep, create affinity with a group. So these are the little things that they look for because these are the biggest ones that they've seen have the highest probability of success. One of my good friends, Mike, he's one of my neighbors. He's a major account executive. And he's Mr. People. When I think about it more and more, we talk about candidate personas. All my friends who are AEs or enterprise AEs and have gone even above that all have this type of personality. They're talkative, they ask great questions, but they're also just very social. They're social butterflies. They are involved in the community. They love to do this. Also into fitness, which I'll touch on later, okay? You have to also showcase on your resume you are okay working with a team. You are good working with the team, but also you're okay working on your own. There are certain campaigns, projects, accounts that you've been able to take initiative. You're able to identify them in the market. You took initiative contacting them and you're able to bring it to a close. And it was a significant deal size, but you have to have that ability of being kind of a go-getter and taking initiative that way. You eat, breathe, live sales. You think about the same methodology on your off time. So for example, what do I mean by this? So if you in sales, you have that go, go, go mentality, but you also know the analytics and the metrics behind it. If you are for example, for myself, I do like an event per year. I'm doing a swim run in September and doing a ruck challenge end of the year as well, November, I believe. But usually I do a triathlon. And triathlon takes about 6 months of training. I have the goal. I know the training plan over the next 6 months. I know what I have to do daily, weekly, monthly, know what benchmarks, what is the feedback. I'm always giving myself feedback. But did you see how I do it on my off time versus what I'm doing in sales or recruiting? It's the same idea. So when you're in your interview, you have to communicate this at the same time. You have to communicate, you tell a story about how you're doing it in sales. You also tell a story about how you're doing it in your own personal life or something outside of sales. So they're showing that hey, this person, it's not so much just the skill sets, it's the mindset. They have this mindset of kind of having a goal. They know the analytics to get to that goal and they're a go-getter attitude. Boom, 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 boom. So you need that. Now I'm talking a lot of fast. I didn't drink coffee for 3 days and I did this morning. So might be a little more energetic. You understand the essential KPIs. You're keeping track of your numbers, not just for yourself, but for the accounts that you hold, as well as the region and the market that you facilitate, okay? And you gotta have this numbers off the top of your head. When they start talking to you, especially in the panel interview, and they talk about, hey, can you kind of like expand on your numbers or your analytics, or talk about kind of like your revenue pipeline, your sales cycle or sales funnel. You need to be able to really have these memorized, that it's on your mental fingertips, man. You know the deal sizes, you know who your top clients were, you know how long it took, you know how much revenue you were able to take in for the company. You know also the markets that you did. What was the analytics of the market that you were working on? The company size, what were the things that helped you close, what were your closing techniques? You have to have this stuff memorized. So just be aware of that. So those are some of the skills, okay, you need to be able to do. Let's talk about candidate persona. What is candidate persona? Candidate persona is like buyer persona or customer persona. It's demographics. It's like, hey, we've hired 10,000 people in our company. We're able to identify the top 20% of the winners over the last 20 years we've been in business. We know what is going to, the type of people, the type of backgrounds, education, skills, personality traits that are going to have the highest likelihood of success. Okay, that's the candidate persona. These are like the similarities. There's also certain things that they plug in to the ATS. Okay, so this is kind of how that gets created. All right, so let's talk about candidate persona. What do these enterprise AEs, a lot of them, I'm not saying everybody, but 80% have in common? There's a few outliers in there too. Most of them have a competitive personality. They all have a competitive personality. Like, they love it. They love that. This is why if you come from a fitness or sports background, they smile very heavily on that. Okay, if you come from a sports background or you do something that has a competitive nature, they love that. They want the person who likes the sting of battle, that like, you know, who's a little bit money hungry. It's okay, you can be a little bit money hungry, but there's a deeper purpose. Okay, there's a deeper purpose behind it. They also are looking for the person with the long-term view. SDRs, the recruiter is looking at you and they are looking at like, hey, do you have like a good trajectory career-wise? Do you have a focus over the next 1 year, 2 years, up to 5 years? For enterprise AE, it's much longer on the time track. Okay, they're looking at you, hey, what is your 5-year, 10-year, okay, maybe 20 year, 20 years is a little bit much, but I would say 5 to 10 year, that sweet spot. You're having a long-term approach because your deal cycle is so long. Sometimes you're looking at ideally closing, you know, if you're closing once a month on enterprise accounts, you're kicking butt. If you're doing every quarter, you're still doing good. Once a year, I would say, is kind of the, like 1 or 2 a year is kind of the average for enterprise accounts. Especially if you're dealing with like, you know, $250,000 or $1 million a year type of accounts. But, you know, that's the thing. You're looking at a long-term approach, and they have to make sure that you also look at your career goals, your sales goals, your life goals more long-term. So just be aware of that, okay? They're also looking at you have to have a high emotional intelligence. Something else is actually a high vocabulary comprehension level, okay? When you do those word tests, sometimes they have you do a take-home, and they give you like a personality exam. It's kind of like Myers-Briggs or, you know, the colors method. They send you an assessment you have to take for an hour. This is something that they're measuring. They're measuring a few different things. One is emotional intelligence, but also your vocabulary comprehension ability, okay? The other thing is when you're an SDR, they really do hone in on, do you have a coachability, teachability, student mentality, you know, mindset? When you get to enterprise AE, you are the coach, you are the mentor. So something that they're looking for is number one, you're always still a student mentality. You're always kind of like growth mindset, but you feel of like that responsibility of being a leader. You have a leadership personality. You have leadership tendencies. You have that ability to lead the pack. People don't have to look over your shoulder. You're leading the pack, but also you're mentoring, coaching others. Ideally, you've done this in your team as well for sales. You've been able to bring up other people who started SDRs getting to AEs. So something else that they're looking for right there. Okay? Yeah, and then the last thing is resiliency. It's a little bit like poker tournaments, okay? You need to make sure that you are okay with the swings, because there's a lot of stuff that you do on a daily, weekly, monthly basis that add up to the deal being closed once or twice a year. So you got to be okay with that long-term approach, but also are you going to have the same amount of energy every single day, every single week leading up, not just when you score a deal, but really like that same intensity, because it's a long-term approach and you're doing the right thing. So, they're looking for that ability to have like a little bit more energy than the average person. Are you so SDRs, BDRs, AEs, enterprise AEs have to really be vocal, public speaking, great communicators, being able to command presence, leadership abilities. They know their metrics very, very well. They know their market and industry very well. They can answer all. Product knowledge is so key, by the way. I should have mentioned that. Product knowledge, you need to be able to know your industry inside and out so that you can talk to everybody on the C-suite. CEO, CFO, COO, CMO, CSO, CITO. So you got to be able to do all that, okay? I hope that was helpful. I know that was a lot, a fire hose of information. Some resources that I would recommend, okay? So there's a few different resources. Obviously, I do recommend my own services, resume-to-offer.com. You can check it out. I have been, I've been getting a flurry of amazing testimonials from a lot of different people. I haven't even posted them. I should post them. I'll probably update the website over the next month or two with all these testimonials of people getting jobs in cyber sales and tech sales, killing it on their first round interview or their panel interview, or their mock sales call. So this has been very, very helpful. So I would if you need some help, if you're not getting where you need to be, strongly recommend you check out. You can get a one-on-one with me. Check out my Calendly. I do have slots open currently, so we'll see if they sell out. And the second thing I do recommend, obviously, I partner with higher levels. Great, we've helped so many people land jobs. I get like a new update every other day of somebody getting a new job. They have 3 courses: Tech Sales Ascension, SDR Accelerator, AE Mastery. Okay, if you're watching this, you're probably trying to get to AE. So I would recommend if you're an SDR currently and you're not the top 20%, do SDR Accelerator. If you're an AE currently, do AE Mastery. If you use my referral link, there's a coupon code, you get a discount, but also I give you a free one-on-one. Okay, free one-on-one. So that's a great benefit too. You get 2 for the price of 1. Third thing that I would recommend, this has only recently become available, and I used to do this all the time, or I used to have this on my early videos. There's a mindset course that I'm a big fan of. It's called Your Wish is Your Command. It's an audio course. It talks a lot about just some core principles on success and personal development. I listened to this 15 years ago. Funny enough, when I was in Japan, from one of my mentors, I think it was a big game changer. I did a video on it. It's a little bit of a review. There's a link there as well in the description below that you are now able to get it completely free. Originally, I think when it came out, it was a seminar recorded that was about I think $20,000 worth seminar. And then when they were selling it, I think it was $1,000, and now it's currently $500, and it's only available for a limited time. Not to sound so infomercial, but it's free right now because I'm one of the few guys that has actually a link to this. So check out that one. It's got 14 lessons in there. It's been a huge impact on my life. I think anybody could learn some stuff from it. And if it's not your jam, no worries. Great stuff. It's kind of like a podcast. So listen to that. Check out the other resources. I think these can be very, very helpful for you guys. Feel free to reach out, add me on LinkedIn. You can send me an email. Few people text me from time to time, but feel free to reach out if you have any questions, and I hope this has been helpful. Let's make 2025 a great year. I'm excited. A lot of good stuff happening. Hope this was helpful, and cheers, guys. Talk to you next time.